Super Robot back again with another penny stock video. I have a really exciting new potential swing trade to be looking at with what I think could be a really cool merger on a great share structure. And that ticker is PSYC, PSYC. I have the chart up right here. This is the monthly chart. Or I'm sorry, this is actually the daily chart on a 2-year time frame. We can zoom out. We can see there's back in 2020, 2021. Now we're here today. At the end of this video, I'm going to have 2 quick bonus tickers that I also really like that we'll talk about at the end of this video as well. But the main feature, the main ticker I want to talk about is PSYC. It's probably my favorite setup in the market right now. It has run a bit hot, but I do think based on the share structure and the catalyst coming and also the resistance levels, I think there's really a case to be made here for a much bigger move than this. So let's get into why. First, let's take a look at the share structure as we always do. So here's PSYC's share structure. You can see that it's only a $2.6 million market cap here, so still a really small market cap. Okay, they have a 900 million authorized shares, which is really good. I mean, under $1 billion at these prices is fantastic. And then their float, the actual shares being traded, is only 484 million. So for these prices, that's really good, right? Anything like in the double zeros that's under $1 billion float, I really like. And then the smaller the better, right? We saw with XALL, for those that remember XALL, had a huge run from around these prices to 017, and it was a very similar share structure. I think XALL was like a 300 million float. So this is 480 million, slightly larger, but still a very, very nice share structure, very attractive. And with a float like that, we typically see bigger moves than just this on a float like that. Another example is GMZP. If you remember from April of last year, GMZP had a very similar share structure to this. Actually, GMZP's float was a bit larger, but it's another example of the under 1 billion share club. These ones can make really, really nice moves. Because when it's under 1 billion shares, I mean, you can just the market can just buy all the shares up at these prices. Doesn't take a lot of buying power, just kind of lock the float here. So let's take a look at the chart next, okay? We can see we crossed over quite a few resistance levels down here. All right, this did run out of trips, but there wasn't a lot of size. Like if you look at the volume, this was like 20 million share volume days. So really there wasn't many shares to get loaded down here. The big loading actually happened not too far off from our price right now. There was like a 002 or so. There was like a 30 million wall. Someone took all of that in like one buy. I watched it happen. And then there was like a ton of buying that day. So that's what our big loading day was. But you can see all the big loading was like really not too far off. Like it's not like this was front loaded too hard in trips, right? Like the huge loading happened in the 002s. And is actually, we're seeing higher volume still in the 003s and so on. So like this is kind of where it's getting loaded. So it looks like it's gone up a lot, but that's what happens with these thinly traded tickers is there's not a lot of shares to buy so cheap. So they'll pop up really fast, but then they'll find a higher base. So today we had a little more consolidation in the 30s. We were touching the mid 40s even a couple times. There was very little sellers today. So, it's trading really, really well. I mean, the fact that it keeps moving up like this, and every day there's like very little sellers, very, very little sellers, very, very little pressure to the downside. So it does seem like it's continuing to get loaded and the float's getting locked up. So I do feel we can see a bigger move, especially just going off our chart levels, right? We see that there's really no resistance in this area that we're in right now. The next major resistance would be 055. Or 0055, right? Which is a ways away from 38. I mean, that alone is a good return. And then above that, we don't have a level until 74. So the fact that you see how there's more levels lower, but as the stock rate goes higher, there's actually less resistance levels. Okay, so that's a pretty bullish scenario in that sense. And if we go back on the chart, we can see the potential of this thing. I mean, they diluted some, but I think it was a fairly similar share structure back then. And it did do a run to 7 cents during the peak bull run of, the 2021 era of OTC. And then it held its ground for quite a long time over a penny. So it seems really, really cheap here with a 480 million float in 003s Just seems super, super cheap. And we're going to get into next why that is and why the stock's beginning to move up and what the potential is here, what's the story here. And the story is looking to be really good and really exciting and kind of fits the mold of exactly what I look for in an OTC swing trade setup. You know me, I talk about it all the time. I love the speculation and I love forward-looking catalysts. And so this is a merger stock. It's going to be a merger play. And I love merger plays because they give us everything we want, which is that maximum hype, maximum speculation, tons of catalysts coming, etc. So merger plays have been very consistent swing trades in the OTC, especially post rule change era. So, we used to have stop signs, which were kind of the easiest trades. Now I find that mergers are the easiest trades to do. So it's just the most consistent, right? So this is a merger play. Let's get into what's coming into PSYC, okay? So this is their Twitter. And they just tweeted today, official updates. So what happened was the reason it started moving, by the way, out of this bottom before they even tweeted was because Brett Rosen, their funder, filed a 13G showing he owned 60 million shares now. So that's why people started buying, down in this 001s range and 002s initially, right? But there hadn't been an update from the company yet. So there was still, mystery behind what was actually going on. Why did Brett Rosen get all these shares, etc. So now they tweeted today. And there's 2 tweets from the day, which are very important. So first they said, PSYC, we've decided to take the company in a new direction due to a recent opportunity. We've got some new visionary tech personalities joining us to launch some new exciting endeavors. We will continue to update you as the details become available. So they had a, to be honest, pretty lame business in this ticker before this. It was just like a psychedelic, mushrooms, like media company. So, they posted a lot of news about the industry and stuff. I mean, they had a successful website, but it wasn't like it wasn't something that was going to turn into something huge, I never thought. So the fact that that old company is going and there's a new company coming in or a new direction, whatever, that's very positive to me because the share structure is phenomenal and it deserves better than a mushroom website. So, and then they confirm that there is going to be actually an entirely new company coming in on the second tweet. They say, we had a few inquiries from shareholders based on our latest filing. There's no need for a reverse split for the new incoming company. The reason they tweeted this was old management had put a reverse split in the old filings. So they have decided to cancel that reverse split. And they confirm that there is a new incoming company. So they confirm that this is going to be a merger. There's a company merging into this that's not the old company, right? And like I said, merger plays are just they're just the best lately. I mean, ever since a year or so ago when that rule change happened and there's no more stop signs, the merger plays is what's creating all the excitement and the hype now. And these are like the plays I usually stick with now because, like I said, they're just so consistent. They're providing, they provide catalysts, they provide speculation, they provide momentum, forward-looking thoughts, etc. FOMO, right? And so that can tend to drive the price quite high. So that's why I like these as trades. And so we have a merger coming in. That's confirmed. And we also know that we have new visionary tech personalities joining us. So that tells me it's going to be a tech merger. Tech is obviously the hottest industry in the market. AI specifically is extremely hot. But just generally speaking, right, what's been performing really, really well in the U.S. stock market for years now is tech. And tech always means that there's high growth potential, generally speaking. So it's very exciting to see that we have a tech company coming into PSYC. I mean, it's way better than there's all these situations where you're looking forward to the merger and then it ends up being, like a weed farm or CBD pills or something that's not so exciting. But a tech company is always exciting. So that's a very positive aspect alone. That we can actually, we have a pretty good idea based on that, okay, whatever's merging in will probably be at least somewhat interesting, right? So that's always a positive, for sure. And I just love the setup. I really do, because I just love share structures like this. I think when you have a float like this, under 500 million, and it's below 005 still, it's just so nice. With all these catalysts, right? So they said we'll continue to update as the details become available. So I'm sure we're going to hear more in the coming days, weeks, whatever, about what this merger is going to be. Who are these tech personalities that are coming on? Are we going to see a new board of directors or something like that? Is there going to be new directors popping up? But there's so much to look forward to here in that regard. And then as well, like I talked about, we had this 13G from Brett Rosen, where he filed it, and it shows that he owns 60 million shares now. And so Rosen's, hot on the street right now because he's also doing the Opti merger, which is getting a lot of attention, a lot of dollar volume, and has performed quite well so far. So, if Rosen's also involved here, that's very bullish, right? Because Opti, he's already building a good reputation with that. Opti's been performing, pretty well. It's made a nice move out of Trip so far. It's consolidating. It looks like it could definitely move again. And he's hyping up the Opti merger a lot. So, he mentioned in the Opti interview that he had 3 candidates to merge into Opti. So, I kind of have to wonder if he's got 3 candidates, well, one's going to go into Opti. I wonder if one's going to go into this, right? I don't know how involved he is on PSYC, but he owns a lot of shares. So, it's bullish to see him, showing that he owns 60 million shares. It's certainly more than I own, so he must be pretty convicted in whatever's coming in on PSYC. So, with all that put together, PSYC is definitely looking like, it's probably my number 1 favorite right now, with Opti is my number 2 favorite, pretty much neck and neck as my top 2 swing trades in the pink sheets, right, in the low dubs right now. I think PSYC and Opti probably have the most interesting stories, the most amount of catalysts lined up, and just the setups are there in terms of room on the chart. They all have a lot of upside on the chart, so you can see how much upside, again, PSYC has if you go back. So much upside here. So, yeah, definitely keep an eye on PSYC, guys. As we get more updates, I expect the stock to react in a positive way as we find out more information about the merger here. Let's move on to the 2 bonus tickers, which I'll go through quickly, but these are definitely ones to watch. First one is EXMT. Okay, so these guys have been putting out news lately. They had a tweet yesterday. The music festivals are the first step in our brand campaign. Our teams have several meetings lined up with retail vendors in early March. Look for our first of several press releases out very soon. And then they PR'd today, and they talked about their the big music festivals that they're coming up, which are going to start in April. There's 4 festivals. Okay, and the events are going to hit above 100,000 patrons, and their products are going to be at these events. All right, so, and then they're also going to this Gaming Association trade show where there's 200 convenience stores that are going to be there that they can market their product to. And they said that there's several PRs on the way, so this is just one of many. So, like I said, forward-looking catalysts are always really, really good to have, especially when there's several of them. So this is a company where you can see it's super cheap, which I love stocks like this. I love 00, 000 stocks because when they start running, you can make so much % return on them. So, there's obviously risk to all of these, but this thing's in at 0011 right now. And what's really interesting on the chart, if we zoom out, it's actually the first time, let me go to the 2-year, it looks a little better. If we zoom out, okay, it's the first time in 3 years or so that this stock has began uptrending over this 200-day moving average. Okay, so what happened the last time it broke above the 200-day moving average? Well, it ran to a penny. All right, now here we are again. You can see all this time has passed where it cannot break above the 200-day moving average. Well, guess what? It's back over the 200-day moving average, finally, after 3 years, which implies that we have a full reversal now, technically speaking, okay? And it implies that, first of all, this 200 MA, as it keeps going up, will continue acting as support. And it implies that we're on an overall uptrend on the chart now. So with several PRs coming here, definitely a good one to watch. Super cheap right now. And it's just really a classic setup in that regard. And then XALL, this is just one I buy every time it's down here. You can see it's like a quadruple bottom now. They dilute some, but the share structure is still great. The share structure is still 700M float. So I always take advantage of these prices when it gets this low because the stock may be in a decline, but the company is actually improving. So I'm going to take advantage of these discount prices. If we look here from their 2023 year-end summary, just in the first 3 quarters of 2023, they did almost $14 million in income, $14 million in revenue, and net income of over $2 million. And they're growing really, really fast. That's like, I think, triple what they did last year. So really cool company. They're making AI acquisitions, tech acquisitions. They do a lot of really cool acquisitions. They have a partnership with the University of San Diego, and you can just see it's a quadruple bottom. You can buy here and you can sell higher. It's not rocket science. But XALL is one I really like as well. So there's the 2 bonus tickers, and then we have PSYC, which I'm super, super excited for because we have a tech merger coming in on a chart with tons of room and a low float. I mean, just to me, on paper, perfect setup. So very much looking forward to PSYC. And then EXMT and XALL, great ones as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.